Good morning, everybody. We are here to do a masterclass with some of the younger players from around the world who wanted to join in. I am running a tiny bit late, so I'm just now getting my everything started. Hey, Frank, great to see you. Let's check in with Horn Kuhn. Kaitlyn, I believe, was going to be first today. Nope, sorry. Aisling. Hey, good morning. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Excellent. Can you hear me okay?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, fantastic. So where are you coming from? Where's home for you?
I'm in St. Paul, Minnesota.
Are you really?
Mm-hmm.
No kidding. I love Minnesota. I did a canoe trip up in the Boundary Waters up there.
Oh, awesome. Yes.
Yeah, those are really nice lakes that are all connected. And yeah, for people that aren't familiar with Minnesota. So I'm running a tiny bit late today. I just went for a jog outside and I warmed up and yeah, time got away from me. So anyways, to make a long story short, you'd like to play the Appel Interstellar, and that's by Messiaen. How long have you been working on that?
So I was gonna play it on my recital. I'm a Masterclass. I was last Saturday.
Okay.
Like about a month, and then I found out that my recital wasn't gonna happen, and that on it. So probably about a month total, maybe a little more than that.
So you, for your master's recital, was going to be during the time of the coronavirus and everything got canceled. Oh man. Well, so this is your recital.
Yeah.
This is awesome. Well, okay, I'm looking forward to hearing it. How far do you want to go? I mean, it's not that long a piece.
Okay, I could try to do the whole thing one time, or you could just stop me.
Okay, so let's maybe like go at least up through the second page. Yeah, I mean it's not too much music. Why don't you see like at least if we get up through the bird calls.
Okay.
Okay. Excellent. Bravo! Yay! That was awesome. Okay,
Thank you.
you can really play the horn. I mean, you've got some really awesome high chops. You've got some really, like, just the way everything's happening here is really, it's sounding like the sound production is really good.
Okay, thank you.
So I can't hear everything on the recording, right? So like, what's hard for me is to determine how much of this is like the recording and how much of it is like actually you're playing. But sometimes your sound gets a little bit harsh, right? Like, and I think sometimes you let the horn play itself as opposed to playing the horn. You understand? So like when you put the air into the horn and the lips vibrate, you're just accepting whatever sound comes out of the bell. And especially in the louder volumes and maybe the middle low register, it sounds a little bit harsh. And that's the thing that like when I look at sometimes like what's called an American sound, right? I'm always thinking like, okay, that's kind of a little bit brassy, a little bit like I don't want to say marching band, but just a little bit angular. And see if you can take that angular sound and just smooth off the edges a little bit in the overtones. Especially like just for instance, like those middle register notes. Like those, if you wouldn't mind just kind of warming those up just a little bit. Let's just take that from the mono red. Would you mind going from on the last page? Yeah. No, so let's go slowly on the C sharp, C sharp, C sharp, D, and just see if you can get a little bit less like force of air and maybe like a little bit more like you're fogging up a window, like on a cold day, and then say a little bit more O with the vowel shape. Good, good. And play the D and really see if you can get into the nice tone of the D. Sustain it. Good, now add some volume to that. Good, good. And I think for a solo piece, for a forte, that would be the maximum. I don't know. Just maybe in this room particularly, and like at that volume, I wouldn't overblow it so much. And then let's go to the next section. Start a little bit softer, so we have like so it says start at mezzo forte. We want to make a little bit of more contrast with that. So start a little bit softer and then grow more. Perfect. Great high beat. That sounds fantastic. Okay, with some of the bird calls, what I noticed is like they're not all the same, but it doesn't seem like they're building in like kind of a manner, right? It just seems like they're short ideas that you're kind of like, all right, here's one bird call. Yeah, I see where they're marked with the squiggles over top. But what I love, could you connect the ideas more and make them more like instead of one sentence, another sentence, another sentence, can we make it more of a paragraph? And I want you to think about like the longer overall, like connecting them, making them one part of one big idea, and then start the first one a little softer, get a little bit more intense, get the most intense, and then come back down. So we have an overall arc of the bird calls. So let's start with the last one there. Would you do it a little slower?
A little slower.
Right. So I want you to start slowly and then build intensity and speed, and then range and dynamic. Right. So we're gonna go for like the first one's gonna be a little slower and get a little faster. So we're gonna be getting faster, faster, faster until we come back. So we want that overall arc.
Okay, so the fourth one should be kind of back.
Yeah, start diminuting on the third one and then come back by the fourth one will die into nothing. That sounds awesome. That sounds really, really good. So that to me sounds more musical. They're not just like an effect. It's like part of the music, right? So now let's go to some of the more melodic parts in this. Let's start at the first page, un, peu, l'un. So pardon my French, it's not super good. But you see that the third to last line in the first page?
Yeah.
Good, good, good. So what I would love from this, obviously your sound is really like rich and beautiful and warm. The rest, I feel like the rest of this stuff is kind of more or less, I want to say an effect. Not so the accuracy isn't super important on some of the other parts, but this part maybe is more important to be accurate and to be more like a melody. So really say something, and let's go to that. second to last beat, the F. Let's go to the F in the first line, and then we'll go to the E natural in the second line.
Okay.
It's really, really good. So what I love now is the sound it sounds a little bit more warm and rich. I hear a bit more overtones. It's not, especially in the lower notes there where you just stopped. It's a bit rounder, and yeah, and I also just love that you're singing through the phrase, and there's now some direction. It's a lot more fun to listen to. It's a lot more fun probably to play, and then also it's easier to be accurate when you're singing.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
always think singing and find places, even in music that's modern, to sing. Okay? This is unbelievable. I'm really, really proud of you. This is like a lot of hard work, and thank you for sharing this with us. Again, really nice to meet you, and I hope I get to hear you in person. And yeah, look forward to getting back to playing together. But bravo, congratulations.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna go to our next guest here. I'm gonna exit you, and we have. Let's see. Who do we have? Danielle's? Let's see, where's Danielle's? Huh. Working on trying to get our connection up. Aha. So we're having a little bit of technical difficulty, and while we're having technical difficulty, all right, great. So we're looking for the next participant who, let's see, who wanted to participate today. We had Karolina. Karolina, would you like to join us? So we're waiting for Karolina. Karolina is from Mexico, but she lives in Germany right now. Hey, good morning. How are you?
Oh, wait. Yeah, better.
Great to see you.
Hi.
Is English fine for you?
Yeah, English is almost better than German.
Okay, for me too. Kidding. So what would you like to play today?
I'm going to play Mozart Concert Number 4.
Mozart?
The exposition.
Okay, let me just send one quick message to Danielle's because I didn't see him on there. So Danielle's, if you're watching, I will have you next. You'll be our next guest. Okay. So I'll see you in about 15 minutes. All right, Mozart 4. Or okay, great. I know that one. Kidding. Whenever you're ready.
Okay.
You want to keep going?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. All right, bravo! Yay! That's awesome. So I can tell you just love playing the horn. I know that's like, am I correct? You like playing the horn? Yeah, and you love playing this music too, right? Yeah. So this is the perfect combination. Is when you love to do something and you get to do it, and you love the music that you're playing. So keep up the good work. So now a couple ways that I would just say to improve this. Have you ever sung through this piece? Have you ever like sang it?
Yeah, but probably not enough.
Okay, so for me, every time I would show up to an audition, this would be one of the pieces that was on an audition. And so I would always just take a little bit of time to just sing through the phrasing, because singing for me is the most natural form of musical expression. Like when we sing, that's like where our brain and our heart are connected, and it just seems like it's just pure music. There's no technique, like fingers or mouths or whatever. So we can really figure out where we want to go to and where we want to go from. And then one thing that I would love for you to do is to be more creative, right? So I want you to just think about this, not just the way that like you've heard in the recordings. I want you to kind of come up with your own way, right? It's like imagine you have this giant forest, right? And there's already one path, but there's a tree over here that you want to see, and you want to show it to us. So you start making your own path through the woods, and then you want to go over and check out this little creek or this little stream. So that's you got to come up with your own path through the forest. So when we have things like in the development section, that happens twice, right? So let's not play that at the same time every time we play it. Okay, let's do something. Either play the first one softer and the second one louder, or the second one louder and the second one softer, or figure something out to do. You can change articulations, or you could, a number of things. You can make a crescendo and a decrescendo, and then reverse it. So those are some ideas of things that we can do. Now, I can tell when you want to be expressive, like you really want to show that you're expressive. Sometimes I heard, or a couple instances, like in the development especially, da da dee da da da. Those really expressive passages, like those half notes. Now, what I heard was the dwa dwa dwa. So we want to kind of avoid those dwa dwas because for us, the start of the note should be like very clear, and then we should have kind of a shape of the note like a block. And if we want a crescendo, we can make that block a little bit more like that. Or if we want to do a decrescendo, we can make the block a little bit like that. But you don't want like this big balloon, this kind of like balloon in the middle of the note. Makes us feel a little seasick when we're listening to it. Okay.
I have a question there because
Sure.
I've heard a lot of recordings that part they do with a lot of accent, like a change, bum 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 bum, and then there are others that maintain it.
Yeah, more legato. So for me, I always prefer everything smooth, right? So I think it goes back to the voice. How would you sing it, and why would you sing it that way? What's the point? And we can also come up with listen to like singers that sing in opera. So there's a lot of Mozart opera material, and Dale was always really keen on having me clue this into Dale Clevenger. He always talked about the Mozart horn concerti take their melodies from operatic, material, and so he wanted me to always clue into da dum ba dum. So again, as a horn player, we can go ta ta ta, and that just doesn't sound like something a vocalist would do. But if you have a reason for making an accent, number one, it'd be Mozart wrote an accent, which Mozart didn't, right? So number two, if you had like a word that you want to emphasize, or you wanted to bring out something in the harmony, da 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 da. So we're in the key of F minor here. F harmonic minor, right? If you concert F. So these are our leading tones. So we want to go to that F minor. So I think if you were to do accents, that might actually draw away from us going to that because they're leading to that, right? But you can also create a little bit of tension. Because we know it's going to resolve to that F. So that's, always look at the harmony and how do you want to draw that tension out when we're going to harmony. So now let's go to the top and let's figure out a plan.
Again from the beginning?
Yeah, from the very beginning. And then it happens again. Do you know who you're playing with in the orchestra when you play this?
Yep. Before that or at the same time?
Who's playing with you? Who's doubling this melody with you in the orchestra? So always know our context, right? So for me, this is one of those things where you got to know this with you. So if we want to think oboe sound and think matching the oboe sound and having this beautiful combination together, okay? And then the first time we play, we're going to want to do it a little bit, kind of softer. We always want to go to beat 1 because in Mozart's time, beat 1 is the most important beat, right? And then everything else is going 4-1. 4-1. And then the second time this happens, let's do it a little bit louder because in nature, if I was to talk to you, I'd say, "Hey, Karolina, how are you?" And if you didn't respond, I'd say it again. "Hey, Karolina, how are you?" A little bit louder, a little bit more emphatic, right? So in nature, it's the same sort of way. So music, we want to do the first time a little bit softer, second time a little bit louder, okay?
Okay, then I'll play it.
Beautiful. That's really, really good. Okay, so I heard that you went for the downbeats, and then I heard that you really you did a clear delineation of louder for the second time. Now, when we have these eighth notes, it's really important to keep those kind of steady, right? So, as a more senior player, I find myself wanting to kind of think of this as like a coloring book, right? We've got these lines, and we have to color within the lines. and the lines here would be like in time and in tune. And so those eighth notes are a really good place for you to show that you have really good rhythm. Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Great, excellent. Now, in the opening phrase, right? Like we've got this this phrase that has three parts. Right? That's our first paragraph. So now let's make each one of these like a stair step, right? Right? And go for that tension and release. And now here, the most
Sorry. Mhm.
I am comfortable taking a little bit of time on these fast notes, okay?
Okay. And then I'll start. Okay.
Yes, yes, yes. And that's way
Or
more
maybe a
interesting.
little more at the end.
Say what?
Maybe a little more at the end.
Yeah, I would do on the last time. I would go a little bit, more like as you're finishing a statement, and in conclusion, I would like to say, right? Sorry. You try that. Good, and don't feel bad about being a little bit louder in that second to last bar.
I'll play it again.
Yeah. One more time. One more time. Good. And again on the half note, remember we don't want to twa. No twa-twas. Okay?
Yeah.
Good. So the next thing I would say, we need to have a little bit of character. So this is where you can add a little bit of spice into the mixture. Go ahead. So little points to those notes.
Like that?
Little bells. But do bells stop? They ring. There's a nice ring to the bell. Good, good. And so let's not land on that last concert F. We want to land da 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 dum bum 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 bum. Right? So like kind of disguise that concert F just a little bit, so we're not gonna land deep, deep bop, right? It just kind of seemed like we slammed on it. So moving forward, these da dum ba da 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 da. Next one a little bit louder. Da 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 da. Then more. Da 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 da. But keep the phrase going. So we're gonna do a tiny bit of like decrescendo in that last scale, and we're gonna keep the intensity going through these half notes. Da dee da dee da dee da dee da. That's our point of arrival. That concert F. Da 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 da.
Okay.
Great. Okay, so the articulation that you did on those 16 notes is a little bit different than I heard. I heard da dee ho da 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 da, right? And so we can add. I love the fact that your air is moving through those 16th notes, but now just add a little bit of articulation to give it a little bit of clarity. In say like a big concert hall, you want those notes to come out like we were saying, and I play the French horn, right? I can play a C scale. You'd really spit out those articulations. It's not like you would say, I play a C scale. You'd say, I play a C scale. So the air would go through that, but you'd also have the clear consonants. So could you do that one more time? Just the first one. Ta 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 ta. Listen. So I'm going ta 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 ta, and the air is going through those notes. Take it slowly, half tempo. Ta 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 ta. Good. Good, and then you just work the tempo up, right? So, lastly, we'll just kind of talk about this. The next part. So we're accompaniment. The piano or the orchestra has dee da 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 dee da dee da 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 ya da dee da da dee da da da. And this is Mozart laughing that he put a French horn in front of an orchestra. At that time, it was like simply like a hunting instrument, and he made a concerto for his friend who he used to tease. Right, Lloydgeb was a cheesemaker, and so he used to tease his friend. You know, like he'd throw all his music up in the air, and he'd make his friend pick up all the parts and put them back in order. And you know, he like kind of make fun of the horn player as kind of like a dumb, you know, simple-witted friend, but he loved him anyways, right? So this part, he's laughing, ha ha ha, and we want to keep the intensity going on these half notes or the quarter notes, whole notes. And then you go, this is the note we want to go to, and then come back, and then we want to go through this chill. So exactly in tempo, okay?
Yeah.
So start for me on a the first time you'll go a little softer, and the second time you'll do a little bit more. Because remember, in nature, we always say the second time a little more. Good, good, good. Nice, one breath. So just whenever you start those trills, always start them from above, okay?
From above?
Yeah, from above. In Mozart's time, always start from above. Mozart before, always start from above. Hey, bravo. We gotta move on to our next guest, and we've got Danielle. It's so great to meet you. So great to hear you.
No, thank you so much for giving me your time.
I'm so happy to meet you. You sound amazing. Really nice to hear you.
Thank you.
Yeah, see you soon, okay?
Bye.
Okay, we're looking for Danielle's. Let's see, we have a few players here. Danielle's, here we go. Go live with Danielle's. Hey Danielle, how are you?
Hi, David.
Hey, great to meet you.
Yeah, me too.
Hey, you're in Lithuania?
I'm from Latvia originally.
Oh, Latvia. I'm sorry.
Now
Yeah.
I'm in Netherlands.
Netherlands. Okay.
I'm having like exchange studies. So
Fantastic. So
Yeah.
I think I have a Latvian friend. His name is Mikus Runka.
Oh, really?
Do you know
him?
Mikus?
Yeah.
He's
I
a
know
good
him.
friend of mine. Yeah, we did a festival together. And
Wow.
Yeah, he's a great arranger too. His Super Mario Brothers. Have you ever played that?
What?
He has a Super Mario Brothers arrangement for horn quartet or horn octet.
Oh yeah, I think I know.
It's
Yeah.
really good. Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah, we should get a bunch of us together and do it on acapella.
Yeah, for sure.
That'd
Whenever
be
you are
awesome.
in
We'll
reach.
talk to him about it. What would you like to play today?
Strauss first
Perfect.
concerto. Okay.
Excellent.
You hear me good, right?
Yeah, let's do just the first page. Just up
Okay.
to dun, 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 then we'll stop there.
Okay.
Great. Bravo, bravo, bravo. Excellent. So you have an incredibly fast single tone. Your single tone is that double tone?
I don't.
Is that double tone? Really?
Yeah.
It sounds great, man. It's really, really, those runs came off so clear. And then I really love your slurs. Like you've got some really good
Slurs?
Yes.
Oh,
Really beautiful slurs.
thanks.
A couple things that I would think about here would just be like when you go up to the high note at the end, I felt like maybe you were just getting a little bit tired.
You mean the B flat?
Yeah, the B flat of the kind of the end of the exposition.
Oh.
Was that an endurance thing?
Yeah, I think it was more about air pressure.
Air pressure.
I just
think
didn't
so too.
have enough.
So yeah, I mean, I felt like maybe you were, but you were just a bit tired with your lips, maybe or not. It's because it seemed like at that point you just
I think
didn't have enough
totally.
air speed. So for me, like when
I think I didn't.
I'm sorry. When I go for the high
Sorry.
notes, I have to think of my teeth as being here, and then I have to think of my
Yeah.
tongue as kind of being here, and the air is rushing around the side of my tongue. It's not going over the top, like the arch of my tongue.
Ah,
And I'm
okay.
always thinking about, like, if this is the teeth, I want like as little space between my tongue and my teeth. So there's like a very tiny cavity there. So that means that like I have less room to. It's a smaller instrument on the inside of my mouth. Right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
the horn can be any size, but as long as I have a small instrument inside my oral cavity when I'm playing those high notes, it's not a lot of work, and also the air is going faster. Now the other thing too I think about is like if I'm going up with those high notes, I have to have this lip still vibrating, right? But I'm also closing, like imagine the garden hose analogy, right? You've got this garden
Yeah.
hose, and you want to kind of like spray the garden hose across the lawn. So you cover the garden hose with your thumb, and then the air goes or the water goes farther. It's the same thing when we want to play high, right? We have to put a little bit more lip in the mouthpiece. And the way we can just take lip in and take lip out. It's almost like I'm saying M. I'm rolling my lips in a little bit when I'm playing those high notes. And the way that I like to work on that, I was doing that this morning in my warm up, is kind of like this path stuff. Have you heard of Bill Vermeulen and his path?
Yeah.
Okay, so Bill talks about bending one note to the next note and changing the pitches simply with air. So we wouldn't obviously want to sound like this every day in practice, but it's a great way for us to figure out how to maneuver between lips and airspeed. So it's like you take one note and you bend it to the next note. So I can transfer the energy from one partial to the next partial without using any lip strength.
Yeah.
And then when I go up higher, the same thing applies, right? Right? And so on and so forth. Because I'm not using my lip strength, I'm simply my relaxed lip is just covering the little bit of the mouthpiece here, and then I'm just moving that over so there's less of a room to vibrate, right? So it's smaller and it's faster and it's gonna get more air pressure, just like the garden hose. So why don't we do like our slurs? Let's just try to bend through these notes going up. So start on A flat. Oh, wait. Slowly. Listen. So I'm going between the notes with just my air. It's still a little bit lippy, so just let your air do the work. You'll have a pop when it works.
Yeah.
Okay. So now that you've worked on that, we'll say like this is something you're going to continue to work on for the next 10 years, okay? And then I want you to just do like a glissando. Just as easy as possible and just saying M and getting the air to really go faster. Tongue is saying E, lips are saying M.
Mm-hmm.
Good. And go up to A. Same thing on A. 1 and 2. Good. Was it easy? So it's easy lips, but it's fast air. Sorry. Good. And really support and blow fast air, and your lips are just, corners, but here in the mouthpiece is relaxed. One more time.
How do you make it relaxed in the
So
top
I
lip?
make it relaxed. So everything in here is relaxed, but here is intense. So you can do that right now. Like this is just all relaxed. If you have firm corners, then the middle is gonna be relaxed.
Yeah.
And then thinking just like rolling the lips in just a little bit. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Give it a try. First off,
So what I do again?
we're gonna do a slur up.
Okay.
So crescendo your air up. Da. Good, good. And is your mouth saying oi? There you go, good. So now let's go through that last
So in the first phrase, right?
Yes, yeah, that'd be good.
Okay. So from the beginning or right
just from that C, from that third line. All right, bravo, huge bravo. Does that feel better?
That sounded and felt much more better.
Okay.
Yeah.
So also the pitch now is higher, right? Because you're having some problems with a little bit of like saggy pitch, a little bit. And I was trying to figure out like why the pitch was just a little bit low.
Yeah. I think it was maybe not the right proportions of all the things combined.
Yeah, so it's we've always got to think of like the balance, right? There's always like a balance between airspeed, lip pressure, like we can push the mouthpiece into our lips, corners, right? And then tongue, like placement, teeth, right? And then also how fast our air is, how open the aperture is. So it's all these things that we're juggling, right? And if we think about them all, then they get crazy. So now that you know it, just forget it. Completely forget it, right? And we're just going to do music. So I want you to sing in your head, and I want you to imagine the most gorgeous horn sound that you can have. Like, it could be Radek Babarek. You can have Radovan Vlakovic. You can have Stefan Dor. Whoever's your favorite horn sound. Dale Clevenger. I don't care who it is, but just imagine that in your head. And now when you go up through these slurs, right? I want you to have some direction. That's our first arrival point. That's our second arrival point. And now this happens twice, right? So the second time we want to do a little bit more, because in nature, when we repeat ourselves, I go, hey, Danielle's. Hey, Danielle's, right? So the second time is always a little more. So now, that's our third arrival point. And then, do you notice how that is your fourth arrival point? Not the high B flat? Okay, good. So we're going through the high B flat. The B flat is just a note on the path. It's not the end of our destination, okay? Mm-hmm. So now let's do that opening phrase one more time and have those destinations in mind.
Okay.
All right. That's so much better. So much better. One last quick suggestion before I move on to the next student. So we have this bum ba da da. So I think Strauss is one of the composers. Some composers we have to like read in between the lines, right? You might have a Mozart manuscript without any, slurs or any articulations marked. But Strauss, his father was a horn player, right?
Yeah.
And he's, a later, kind of romantic composer. So every marking of his pen, I think he knew what he wanted, right? I mean, the breath marks, give or take, I think he was just kind of giving suggestions for his dad, who happened to be short of breath. But these slurs, I think he really wants, and I think where it particularly matters is da 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 da. So I hear da dee da 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 da, right? It's a little John Williams-esque, right? It's like a little Superman. So could we make it a little bit more operatic? Could you just try that bar for me?
Yeah.
Listen. And so we still want to go to the B flat as our rival point. Yeah, that's it. So that's kind of my last little piece of advice for this. If we had more time, I would love to go through like the development section, and I'd love to go through the end of it. This is a piece I really love working on, and I've worked on it a lot. So, but the exposition, I'm really glad we at least got to go through that. So, really nice to meet you. Nice to work with you. Yeah, fantastic playing.
Yeah.
We'll see you soon, okay?
See you soon. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye. So we have one more horn player who'd like to play, and I believe it's Kaitlyn, excuse me. And we have about 2 minutes left to go. So let's see how we can do this. Kaitlyn, I'm going to add you here, and we can just talk for a second. Hey, Kaitlyn, so I didn't use my time super well right now. So we're going to get cut off right in 2 minutes. So what I was going to propose to do is continue to do this masterclass, and then we just start a new live. So whenever we get cut off, we'll just pick up where we left off. Okay? So shall we stop here and then restart with you for the next masterclass? Okay, so I'm going to end the video, and we're going to be coming right back with you. So join us again in 1 minute. Bye, everybody. All right, we're back, and we're going to finish our masterclass today, and I've heard a lot of really great playing. I've seen a lot of great players who are interested in just kind of learning a little bit about how I think about the horn and music, and I really appreciate everyone tuning in. So Kaitlyn, you're back, and you're going to join the video, and you're going to play for us today. So I'm really excited to go live with Kaitlyn. Excellent. Thank you all for coming back. Hey, how are you doing? Great to see you. So tell me a little bit about yourself. Where do you live, and kind of what are you working on, and where are you in school?
I live in Houston, Texas, and I go to Klein High, and I'm a sophomore. And I auditioning for HYS, which is the what was that?
I just joined the Wi-Fi, just in case we weren't getting a good connection. So could you repeat that one more time for us?
Yeah. I live in Houston, Texas, and I go to Klein High,
Okay.
and I'm a sophomore there, and I'm auditioning for HYS. I made it last year in the second one, but this year I'm auditioning for the top one. So I'm just using this piece as an excerpt.
Do you ever work with Mr. Johnson? Rob Johnson in Houston?
No, I haven't. I've talked to him before. Like I've emailed him a bit, and we were gonna do kind of like a Skype lesson or something, but we never got around to doing it.
Yeah, Rob's a really good friend of mine, and yeah, we went to New England. We went to Boston University Tanglewood Institute when I was your age, and yeah, between my sophomore and my junior year of high school. And yeah, Rob's just a really dear friend, and it's just great that he's doing so well at University of Houston. It's a really strong horn studio at University of Houston. So, and Rob also studied with Bill Vermeulen at Rice.
Yeah.
So, what would you like to play today? For 1 second, I'm not getting sound. Here, can you say it one more time?
Most characters.
Okay, great. Today, for some reason, go ahead and start when you're ready.
Okay.
You said Mozart too, right?
Yes.
Great, yay, excellent. Okay, so Mozart is one of my favorite composers. I feel like if I could meet any one person back in time, it would have been Mozart. And it's like, have you seen Amadeus? Yeah, it seems like a pretty fun person, right? So when we play Mozart, I want you to get into the character of that guy from Amadeus. Okay, so I want you to just kind of like imagine this fun, full of life person. Could you turn your volume on your phone down just a tiny little bit? I'm getting a little feedback. Just a tiny little bit. Yeah, perfect. Great. Thanks. Sometimes like when I talk, it comes back in the microphone of your phone. So the way that I approach this, obviously there are a lot of 16 notes, and there's a lot of range stuff, which you're getting through really well. And the way that I would kind of work on this would be like in small chunks. So I would like you to kind of go from the first 4 bars. So I would think of it as like, okay, what's, do you ever do fractions in math? You know fractions? Okay, so what's our lowest common denominator here? Our lowest common denominator for me in this would be the 16th note. So if we break everything down into 16 notes, we would get Could you do that much for me? So we're going to play everything in 16 notes. So you'll play 16 notes for the first bar. You'll play 12 16 notes on the dotted half. You'll play 4 16 notes on the quarter. You'll play 2 16 notes on the eighths. And then you'll do 5 16 notes before you go up to the run, right? Good. Good. And now when you get to a point where you feel really comfortable with that, you can go a little bit faster. Good. So we only move up the tempo when we get it, like, so when I have it perfectly, like the first time you played it was like absolutely perfect, right? And now it's a little bit faster and it's not quite so perfect.
Yeah.
So when you get to this faster tempo, and you find yourself, if you happen to be making mistakes, if I'm making mistakes on a passage, then I'll just bump the tempo down a little bit until I get comfortable with it, and then I gradually work the tempo up.
Okay.
And eventually, you're going to go into the eighth notes. So eventually, we're going to go into that. We're going to carry through the subdivisions, and then at a certain point, you're going to take out the subdivisions. Right? So, and also when we play the subdivisions, like 2 things happen. Number 1, we figure out the time, right? But you can also use those subdivisions for musicality. So when I think subdivisions, I always think, where is this next 16th note going? All right, where is this next one going? And we're always going somewhere or coming away from, right?
Yeah.
So if we play that same passage with 16 notes, we can make all the 16 notes go in a ramp. Like da 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 dee 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 da 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 da. So we'll go to that G, right? The downbeat of the third bar, ya da da, and then da 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 dee dee da da. So we're going for those downbeats because in Mozart's time we'll go to the G and then the next D. And if we think 16 notes with direction, then we're always going to have musical intent behind our playing with rhythm. See how I'm crescendoing? And
Yeah.
I'm giving a little highlight, a little hint of an accent on the third bar, but I'm really going to the fourth bar. And then I make a decrescendo on that fourth bar. Could you try that for me?
With the 16th notes or without?
Yes. Yeah.
With the, okay.
Great. So now, if you work that tempo up, right? So you get it to a place where you're perfect with it at that and comfortable with it at that tempo. I'll never forget a story. Radek Vavrek. I was lucky enough to hear him play it in Berlin. I heard him play at the Philharmonie, and he did Brandenburg 1, and then they played all the Brandenburgs that night, and then they finished with Brandenburg 2, and he played the trumpet Brandenburg Concerto on the horn. I was just like mind blown. But afterwards, I was lucky enough to ask him, how do you practice? And he said, everything's slow, right? And he's like, I only take it in tempo when I get on stage. So it leads me to believe, like, the greatest horn player in the world, right? Like, who has maybe the best technique, he practices everything in control. He practices everything where he's got it under kind of his fingers, and it's easy for him. And then he just takes what's easy and just makes it incrementally a little bit harder. So, like, he's not trying to play it all fast at once. He's just going, okay, this is easy. Now let's just bump it up and make it a little. So it's not like, take for swimming, for instance, right? We can jump in the deep end before we can swim, and we're just like, treading water and then drowning, right?
Yes.
Or you could walk up, and then gradually, okay, I'm just barely above my eyes, and now let me see if I can just get off the ground a little bit. Okay, let me see if I can doggy paddle back into shore. All right, now let's go a little bit deeper and see if I can doggy paddle back into shore. And pretty soon before you know it, you're swimming, right? Mm-hmm. So this is the same thing with playing the horn. We don't want to like jump in, the deep end too quick.
Yeah, that was probably my mistake because I had just started this piece like a week ago maybe.
Wow!
And so
Wow! Great
yeah,
job.
I kind of took it a bit fast.
No, it's not ever too fast. It's just like, hey, where are we right now, right?
Yeah.
This is for me that I'm just like, I'm transposing and I'm playing Bach right now on the horn.
Oh yeah.
Playing these Bach flute pieces, and or Bach partitas. And I remember, like, sometimes when I'm transposing and I'm like working on all these 16-note runs, there's just so fast that my brain can go. So while I'm learning these pieces, I want to learn it correct, right? So like the rest of my life, I'm not working on going back and like reinventing the wheel and working out, ironing out these mistakes that I learned when I was 16. And I wish that someone had told me that when I was your age. So I just want to thank you again for playing for me. This is a really great start. I love your musicality in bar 46. So just remember, in Mozart, we always go for downbeats. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. It's like a dance, right? You always want that 4, 1, 4, 1. So could you do that just one more time and just play from 46 to 50? Was it 50? 52. Great. That's super beautiful. So now what I'd love for you to think is like, which note is the most important in the first 4 bars? Like, where are we going to? Which note, which bar? It could be the first note of the first bar, second bar, third bar, or fourth bar. Which one is it?
I'm thinking the first of the third.
Yes. That's it. And then the next one. Which one? The first bar of the first bar? The first note of first bar? First note second bar? First note third bar? First note fourth bar? Which one are we going to in the second group of 4 measures?
I feel like third again.
Exactly. So can you play this now with all that in mind, having those as your destinations?
Got it. So I was just decrescendoing a little too late.
Good. And now this next phrase, da 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 da. out of those, which note should be the strongest? First note, second note, third note, or fourth note?
I feel like it would probably be the first note.
Yes, good. And now, what about the next one? Da 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 dee da ya. Which note out of those? Dee, da, da, da,
The
dee,
C.
Da, 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 da. The should we say the first beat of the first bar or the first beat of the second bar? Which note should be stronger?
Like the first beat of the downbeat of like da 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 da.
No, think again. Do you want to hear? Ya, da, da, dee, ha, ya, da, 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 dee, ha,
Okay, so it's
ya,
the
da, da,
the
da, da,
E.
da. Yeah.
Yeah.
So can I hear you play that? So now the first bar, dee da da da, dee
Yeah.
da da dee da ya, dee da 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 da.
Yeah. I even circled it too.
Good. I heard that last beat though is stronger than the first beat. I heard the written E natural stronger than the downbeat. Can you do it one more time? Good. Good. And play it with the bar before as well. Dee, Good. So now you're starting to make some music, right? And that comes through. I'll play through this just so you can kind of hear some ideas and just try to listen. And this is the best way for you to learn this piece. Is just work on listening.
Okay. Yeah.
Excellent.
That was it.
Well, keep up the good work and bravo on this choosing this piece. And I really look forward to hearing you after you've had, some time to get acquainted with it and to really enjoy practicing it. Okay?
Yes. Thank you.
Great to meet you, and thank you
You
all for
too.
watching and for joining in today. Have a great day. Okay?
You
Bye.
too. Thank you.